What's going on, traders? I'm back like a track. We got my man Chrisopedia in the back. Get ready. The SPACs attack is here. We're going to get into some SPACs that we feel can squeeze. We're going to take a look at our watch list, take a look at what headlines are out there. Where's the trade? You guys let us know and hit that thumbs up. Let's get this party started. Out there, that's what it's all about. Let's get into the SPACs attack. Let's bring on my man Chrisopedia. What's going on, man?
What's up, Mitch? Yeah, I hope you had a good weekend. We're back. It's Monday. There's some SPACs moving lately. It seems like SPAC market, gaining some more attention, especially around those merger vote dates.
Definitely, always the merger vote date has been around. And I will tell you guys, hey guys, I got caught in a trade. Oh Lord. I'll smack myself on Friday. I had a decent sized loss on a SPAC, but I'll tell you guys about it and how to maybe avoid it yourself. And I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, we all got to learn from each other. I hope that you guys out there in the chat are supporting each other. That's what we're here on SPACs Attack, a community building in the SPAC investment game and uncovering how these SPACs and the information that you need to be an informed trader out there. Looks like we got a lot of people joining in the chat. If you're new to the show, or maybe this is your first time here on the SPACs Attack, say hello in the chat. We definitely love to talk to our viewers. We got Tiny, Alyssa, Bourne, even Zoten in the house, Gemma, Sue, Adon. What's going on, guys? It's good to have you guys. And yes, we are enjoying the day, ready to get into some SPACs. I know that Chris had a tough weekend, but guess what? My man's flexing and ready for Mondays. Bring that news like you always do, Chris, and take us back to those headlines.
All right, guys. Yeah, let's get to some headlines. We didn't have a show Thursday and Friday due to the Benzinga Cannabis Conference. We also had the weekend, so we got a couple days to catch up on here. Let's start with analyst notes, right? So one recently completed SPAC merger was Nerdy, now trading as NRDY. Company getting a couple analyst notes today. So Raymond James initiating coverage with an outperform rating and a price target of $13. And Needham also initiating coverage with a buy rating and a price target also of $13. So NRDY trading at $8.78 today. It's down 2%, but again, those two initiations, two price targets, both of $13. This is an interesting one. We'll see if that analyst coverage can help maybe propel this thing back to $10. And then we do have Virgin Galactic downgraded to sell by UBS with a lowered price target of $15. Virgin Galactic last week announced a delay to their timeline due to some issues with their spacecraft, and now commercial next year in the fourth quarter. SPCE, I think, is going to see a lot of investors shy away from it just because of that timeline now. This is one where I've pointed out where you can trade based on the stories, based on the flights, and with no news immediately in sight. I think this thing's just going to trade sideways from here until early next year. But again, not financial advice. That's just kind of what I see happening with SPCE here. Then we do have some acquisitions to talk about. So Kazoo, CZOO, which went public via SPAC. It's a leading car sales company in the UK, one of the largest ones over there. This was done from a rather large SPAC. They announced that they're acquiring Vans 365 for £6.5 million in cash. Kazoo, I don't know a ton about. Again, as a U.S. investor, it's just not a company I'm familiar with. I'm going to dive into this acquisition, see if maybe this is enough to get, investors excited again about Kazoo. Remember, a lot of people shied away from this SPAC with those large names attached, and then going after the car market instead. Then we have Playboy, PLBY, announcing that they acquired Dream, which is a content creator platform, for $30 million. So they said that the platform and its development team will serve as the technology foundation for the launch of Playboy's new curated and creator-led site, Centerfold. So social content platform provides creators with tools to interact directly with fans. So Playboy going after the content creator platform market, which has heated up this year. This could be an interesting acquisition by Playboy here. This was one Mitch and I talked about last week, and one of the things we talked about, right, was there hadn't been recent news with Playboy, and now here today, news for Playboy. So
hold on, I'm looking at my centerfold here.
Yeah,
Chris.
what an interesting name there, right? Mitch, I'm puzzled by that. Good point, because they actually seem to shy away from the magazine, right, and the nude images, and kind of try to distance themselves from that. But then you name your new platform Centerfold, though. I mean, I don't know how much distancing that is there, right?
Hey, we'll see. Definitely, we know what Centerfolds came from, at least.
Well, maybe we'll have to get a SPAC Attack content creator platform on Centerfold then, if that's going to be the new social media platform. So something to keep an eye on. But Playboy shares were ripping higher today on this news, Mitch. We're up 3% now. I saw shares up around 5 or 6% earlier today. So it looked like investors at least like Playboy having news. Like I said, we haven't had a lot of news recently. So the acquisition today, at least putting Playboy back, top of mind here.
One thing that I would comment is that start looking for the positive news flow. Whenever I start seeing a stock bouncing off support and gets a catalyst to come out, something like this, I want to see if there's a continued news flow. Do we get another catalyst to come in tomorrow, the day after that? That's what you want to be paying attention to see the stock come off that support and get a story change and maybe get picked up by some retail interest. We'll see what happens with Playboy and how the week continues.
Definitely. And then we did get a space launch this weekend, right? That's something we've talked about a lot on the show, these space stocks. So this is the stock to mention here is Redwire, RDW, which I do own shares of. So NASA launched its Lucy spacecraft to study the Jupiter Trojan asteroid. So Redwire tweeted over the weekend, "Congratulations to the Lucy mission, NASA, and United Launch Alliance teams on the successful launch of the Lucy mission, which lifted off early this morning. Safe travels on the 12-year journey to visit Jupiter and its Trojan asteroids." So again, this launched from Cape Canaveral early Saturday morning, a 12-year mission to study those asteroids with Jupiter. We got Carl in the chat saying great launch. But again, I think that the secret here is that Redwire is involved, right? We hear a lot about these other space stocks. Redwire's the thing behind the thing, right? They help power these launches, with other companies, and also have some big deals with NASA. So the fact that they were involved once again on this, planetary mission, I think is strength for Redwire, RDW. So again, I do own shares, keeping an eye on that one going forward. And then we have SGAM, Seaport Global Acquisition, which is merging with Redbox. So if you don't remember, Mitch and I had Redbox on the show not too long ago. And this is an interesting one, right? Because a lot of people kind of dismiss the SPAC deal because Redbox, is a physical rental kiosk company while all the other companies are shifting to a streaming model. But Redbox is working on some streaming stuff. And they announced today that they're adding 20 plus free ad-supported TV channels to its streaming service. So this is going to be, ad-supported free live TV, and it's going to cover local news, kids, and Spanish language programming. We've got America's Funniest Home Videos. We've got some Sony, international channels. There's also a Baby Shark channel for all of you out there with kids and don't think that song is annoying yet. And also Yahoo Finance. and then 10 live local news channels. I mean, you've got markets like Seattle, Atlanta, and Orlando. So the Redbox streaming app is available on a wide range of devices. Again, 20 plus free ad-supported channels. I like this move here from Redbox, and it's going right into their merger. And then we've got some deals to talk about, some old and some new. We have VIH announcing that their merger with Backed Holding has been approved. Will trade as BKKT. It looks like later today. I'm not seeing it. It looks like it is trading on Benzinga Pro already. BKKT, the new ticker. I'm seeing $9.36 and on the move up. And also a report that the CEO will appear on CNBC. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on BKKT. Again, that news coming courtesy of Benzinga Pro about that CNBC appearance. Then we have GSAH announced that their merger with Mirion is approved. They pre-announced this, and SPAC insiders saying that the redemption rate looks to be around 26% based on the post from GS Acquisition. That's among the low side for some of these recent SPAC deals. Then we have TDAC setting a vote date of October 28th with lottery.com. That one's been on my watch for a while. I think this one gets a lot of interest later this year. So TDAC definitely on watch. We also had HCAC approving their merger. Will trade as SEAT tomorrow. That's Vivid Seat, SEAT, and DraftKings joining in on the pipe on that. And then we have LEGO approving their merger with Algoma Steel. Will trade as ASTL. And then redemption deadlines today for BCYP, SGAM, and KURI. And then we did get one deal terminated last week. Later in the week, SV announced that they will no longer merge with Arrow Farms. This could be a positive for App Harvest, APPH, as one of their rivals will, not have as much access to capital, but something to keep on watch there. And then our good friend Julian Klimachko noted that the SPAC market was 5 for 5 last week. The SPAC index was up each trading session, and that SPAC index is up 3% year to date. And then we did get one deal announced last week. Okada Manila, which is a gaming resort in the Philippines, going public, ADER. Again, we've seen Manila, the Philippines, as one of the newer destinations for casinos. And this is the latest SPAC deal. So that's what I've got for news and headlines there, Mitch.
All right, so a lot to talk about there and a lot going on. I did see out there multiple times being talked about that VIH or BKKT. We did get a volume spike going into kind of right on the show. Looks like somebody was watching the SPACs attack. I'll show you guys right here. Look at 1101. We got 126,000 shares traded there. I'm pretty sure those went through at $9. I would love for this to come back near that $9 entry, maybe even 9.10s, and then I can attack that. As you guys can see from that, you broke out towards a high of 933, pulled back towards a low of 910, and then broke out from there. We'll see if this can continue to make a move. That's BAKKT, and we'll see how it trades today. Definitely, I saw it on a lot of people's radars, so you just might see a continued momentum push. We'll see what happens with this one. I'm even going to take a look at it. If it pulls back a little bit earlier today, I might take a shot, but got to be careful. Last time I overextended into one of these and got caught on Friday, and that happens, guys. So it just shows me more and more how I need to stick towards my strategy in SPACs, which is more of a wait and see, get it in at a good level and hold. It's kind of a longer term approach, but hey, it's what's been working versus trying to get these momentum pushes. Not really for me, at least in the SPAC industry. I would rather look for momentum plays in other parts of the market.
Yeah, definitely. And BKKT, another one of those crypto plays, which obviously with the Bitcoin news, Bitcoin ETFs this week, could be a good sympathy trade there. So BKKT definitely on watch, now completing that merger.
All right, we'll get into it with the watch list coming up. We'll talk about some of the biggest movers of the day. If you guys got a big mover that's standing out on your radar, definitely throw it in the chat and we'll go ahead and touch it on our watch list. Let's go ahead and do what we do best and see what's moving out there. All right, guys, pinkies up. Let's have a little OJ. Let's get this going. Let's see what's going on out there and what can we possibly be trading. First one I'll bring up, of course, is SOFI. Usually a high stock on a lot of people's radar. Look at this gun right out the gates today. Chris, you don't get many 1 minute candles that just go up at literally almost a whole hour straight up. This is a day trader's dream. If you could tell me that this was going to happen every day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's some nice price movement today.
Crazy price action and sideways hold there. What's going on in SoFi?
Yeah, so SoFi had some minor news today. It looked like a partnership was signed. This is one, though, that really for the past couple of weeks has just been, really trending higher, right? It's been getting a lot of interest from retail traders. It's also got that pending bank charter as a potential catalyst. So I got into SoFi around 1475. I've been holding. I think that bank charter comes before the end of the year. But again, there is the potential risk if the bank charter is not announced or if it's delayed, because I think a lot of people are banking on that, pun intended, I guess there. But I still think the company has a lot of value with or without the bank charter. And we saw some analyst notes on this name as well. So I think just a lot of attention going to SoFi. But yeah, I didn't expect it to get, that much attention in the early hours this morning.
Definitely something we'll keep a watch on. Whenever I see a stock that can move like that, I'm looking for a 2-day move. Let's go ahead and see what we see on the daily chart. Looks like we had a reversal from this kind of red bar. Let's see if we get another green bar to really push us on up. Resistance coming into play at 22. I think this is where the SoFi is headed. Not a bad play if you got it right now. Let's go ahead and continue looking. Looks like this is the one that I don't have news on, but having a good day today. Faraday futures. And what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, Faraday future, I'm not seeing news on. This is an interesting one, though, because it was attacked with a short report. And I don't remember what day that short report was, but really since that short report, it's turned back around, right? And it's getting that momentum back. So this is an interesting one. Again, there is a huge battle for these, luxury electric vehicles to come out later this year, early next year. Faraday is among those companies, so we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, I'm not seeing the news to justify today's move. So an interesting gainer today.
Something I'll definitely keep on watch. It's been moving with a lot of the autos. The autos had a good week last week. Maybe it's just a laggard play here. Let's keep going. We did talk about Redwire, but let's talk a little bit about ASTRA here. Now coming back up there, 4.9%, getting up there towards 9. What are you thinking here about ASTRA, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, this could be just space stocks in general being hot, right? We had that flight over the weekend. The other story, Mitch, could be, anyone who was holding Virgin Galactic. If you sell your Virgin Galactic shares, do you try to stay in that same space sector, right? And maybe
rotation.
You know what I mean? And maybe shift from space tourism to space, launches, space, data, something else. So maybe we see, Virgin Galactic down and we see ASTRA up, Redwire up, Rocket Lab up, as kind of the rotation plays. Just a thought. We'll see. Maybe that's what, propels some of these ones higher.
Well, I could tell you that it is getting a little bit of a pickup on the money flow. So it's looking like it could be exactly what you're pointing out there. A little rotation out of a kind of danger zone, still trying to stay within the space, looking for other entries. We'll see what happens. With this one being mentioned, I'd look for Black Sky to turn around here. It's at 890s, has been trying to kind of find a bottom here, close to this 875. We'll see if it finds a bottom or it continues making its move on down. That's definitely one that I'm starting to look to target. We'll see what happens with that one. That's BKSY, and it is down towards 890s. So we'll see what happens with there. Let's keep going. Lucid having a good day today. The Chop Fest continues in the same kind of range from 28 to about 20, you could say. Maybe you go down all the way towards the 17 or 18. But we've been stuck in this chop for a long time. The real question is, when do we get out of this move? And when is the next leg up for Lucid? Is it really starting to get there? I mean, we've looked at that plenty of times, but I'm not sure exactly when to call it now.
Yeah, I mean, those electric vehicle companies all look like they're having a decent day today, Mitch. So it could be just what's doing with Lucid here today and Faraday. Two that I saw moving, Mitch, were Open Door, OPEN, and OPAD, which are both in that home buying space. And I don't know if you saw the news. I saw earlier today that Zillow announced that it put its home purchasing program on pause to work through the renovation and selling of homes already purchased. So we have Zillow shares down 10%. Open Door and OPAD both in the green today. They're competitors there. What do you think of that Zillow news? And could that be, a positive for Open and OPAD here?
Yeah, I think it's two looks there. There's two looks there because it can be that, yes, you can start seeing as that Open and OPAD maybe have some competitive advantage that can actually compete with Zillow. Another thing that can come out of this is a negative outlook in the industry. That's the way I'm looking at it, because if Zillow can't sell houses in this environment, low interest rates, housing prices going up to the roof, demand is at least said to be there. Why can't they get the inventory through, right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, that's my question is, I can't really figure out where exactly they're going with their comments, right? It was that they're at operational capacity. They're focused on signed customer contracts and current inventory. So I think there's a couple questions, did they overextend themselves? Did they buy too many homes and they can't focus on it? Or as you said, is there some concerns for the real estate market? So I think based on the market action with Open and OPAD today, I think maybe people think it's just a Zillow issue, but I think this could be, definitely a real estate issue, and maybe that price action in Open. I mean, look at Open over the last couple weeks, that trend higher. I just don't know if we continue to see that if there starts to be some concerns in real estate.
I agree. I think you gotta just watch out for the next couple of months. It could be that we're getting towards a resistance, and then we're gonna get another pullback closer towards, let's say, 18 or 20. I think Open has an advantage there because they're not putting themselves in so much of a risk position. I think this is another thing to consider. Open's not buying up these houses. They're just merely being the transaction process. That's where Zillow wanted to step in, and I think is running into problems because of what's going to happen here in the next 6 months. I always look at the housing market 6 months out, maybe even a year out. What's going to happen is I think they're going to start seeing the demand slowly die down as maybe we get next year interest rate to go up a little bit. Maybe that demand goes down, and that's why they're concerned, Chris. So who knows? Of course, they can predict the housing markets better than we can. I definitely think so. So that right there, to me, is a sign of concern when Zillow says, whoa, 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 we're going to hit on the brake a little bit here. Wait till we can get some houses out. Then we'll worry about if we want to bring on some more.
Mitch, how about that Redbox news? So SGAM. So this is interesting because I actually like the news, Mitch, right? That they're going to launch 20 ad-supported free channels. So, when we had Redbox on last week or the week before, I can't remember now, one of the big comments was that they're pushing into streaming, right? They don't want to just be, a physical rental company. They're going to offer streaming services. They're going to partner, right? They did like that Showtime partnership where you could add, a Showtime subscription. But Mitch, I also got to point out the strategic timing of this news, right? No knock on the company, but today is the redemption deadline for SGAM and Redbox, and we have this news come out. Was that strategic or just a coincidence? We have shares at 981. So they are below net asset value. So I still think we're going to see heavy redemption in this stock. What do you think, Mitch? Do you like that news of them doing these free ad-supported channels?
Well, I can tell you someone tried to load the boat early here. There was 1.36 million shares traded there on the 14th. Someone tried to do this redemption trade pretty big there. That's just my saying right there. That's what I call big fish getting fried for a second there, because the stock went down towards that 920, even came towards a wick here of 912. So I wouldn't be surprised if the guy has a stop at $9. So that's the target area that I'd be concerned about on the downside, right? If we get a flush towards 9, I'd be out with him. I don't want to get caught with him in holding the bag. So he definitely probably got a little bit of a pressure on him. Now he's getting the situation where the stock's going to 980, right? If I was stuck in at 10, I'm looking for that stock to get it back above 10, quick selling into that move. So just be careful if you do see a pop above 10 here. It could be a quick move. Not saying that I know, but when I see these things on the chart stand out to me, just want to at least make them apparent for you guys out there to make your decision. And I'd be careful out there with a stock like this that had a lot of accumulation before the move. Then it goes down. When it comes up through that level, there has to be some overhead supply there. I'd be concerned there.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, I think that's positive news from Redbox, but I do
Positive
worry
for sure.
I worry if it's too little too late, right? Getting it out on the redemption deadline day. Also a Baby Shark channel, Mitch. I mean, as someone who's heard that song more than I ever wanted to, I don't know if we need a dedicated channel just for Baby Shark. But the other channels sound interesting. So we'll see what that does for Redbox here, and we'll get you guys that redemption number over the next couple days when we know it. The other one, Mitch, how about BOWX, WeWork merger, right? So that merger vote is tomorrow. Shares are moving higher today. I think I saw like 1090 maybe. So it looks like this one, 1060? So it looks like this one, maybe we won't see as high of redemption, right? So redemption deadline was Friday. The merger vote is tomorrow. This thing has held up pretty well over $10 over the past couple weeks. So it's an interesting one. WeWork, the remote working platform that they offer to these companies. So, and you look at that chart, I mean, this thing took off when that deal was announced shortly after, and it's starting to come back here. Any thoughts on WeWork, Mitch?
These are ones that I tell you, man, these are the ones that when we were going through this period of sideways action, that's when you want to be a part of this trade. To me, that's where the risk to return makes sense, because even if you get that down move that you got here going towards 971, you're talking about less than a 10% risk. And when the stock actually goes up, it immediately goes to that 11 point, which is that 10%. So to me, yeah, it's kind of closer to here if you want to sell at 11, but I'm looking for a 12 pop and a 9 risk. To me, that makes sense. 10% down risk, looking for a 20% up move. I think there's definitely risk to return in these, but for me, it's not trading it now that it's moving. It's getting into these a little bit earlier, investing in these, holding on, knowing where my levels are, and especially if you're seeing that sideways action, sleepy action. I mean, it's what I think is going to be the best return in SPACs overall. It's going to be the people that do a longer term kind of trade, but we'll see what happens here with BOWX.
Mitch, I got to call out this comment from Tokes and Trade in the chat real quick. In about 6 years, a DJ at some random club is going to drop a Baby Shark remix, and the whole club is going to go nuts. OMG, that's my jam. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd be dancing to it in 6 years, maybe 20, 30 years down the road. But we'll see. But nice comment there on Baby Shark. Now I'm going to have that song stuck in my head all day, Mitch.
Let's just say there's some reason why some of us don't have kids. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so Mitch, you brought up the good point, right? Finding these stocks around $10, right? The sideways trades. So that's why it's important to look at the SPAC calendar, right? To see what votes we have coming in October, in November. So definitely something we'll try to bring you guys this week, and look at some that maybe haven't had that breakout move already. Because as Mitch said, with timing, it's so important to get into these before they start moving higher. One that happened with last week, Mitch, was AGC, right? Merging with Grab. This is one that I called out, a couple weeks ago when it was trading at $10. And I said, it had a nice risk return, right? It doesn't have a merger vote date set yet, but this is one that was starting to see heavy short interest too, right? So short interest was around 31%. Well, what happened late last week, Mitch? You started seeing retail traders get into this and call it out, right? For the short interest, for the high potential of this company. They're a leader in Southeast Asia in several markets, right? You got rideshare, you got delivery, you got fintech. So it's a nice play. And then this thing hit $11 last week. And again, I don't know if I would get in at 11. I tried to get in around 10. I didn't get filled several times. But this is an interesting trade, right? If you can time these at $10, because you lower your risk and your reward is much, much higher.
Definitely one to keep on watch. The big turnaround from that $10. We'll see if it can hold $10. A couple days sideways action would be an actual good thing up here to hold the price action. Playboy definitely is a setup that I'd keep on watch, guys. I'm telling you, look for that news flow. I'm even thinking of taking a shot, just because whenever I can have a clearly drawn support on any stock, especially a stock that's gone sideways for about 2 to 3 months, it gives me always that potential for a reversal at these levels. We'll see if we can find some support somewhere down towards the 2235s. We've seen it bounce multiple times. Just needs to come out of this trend right here. So if you can draw a trend line from here and you see it kind of getting up towards these levels, it's had a couple spikes through it now. Now let's see it get strong here. You want to see the volume change. So every time that you got in these little spikes, the volume actually goes down into the move, right? And so like if you see right here, look how the volume is going into decline mode. You see the volume here. What happened? Decline mode. Volume here, decline mode right after the spike. So this time when we get up there, look for a spike on the VWAP, on the volume, showing you that confirmation. Bulls are in control, and let's take this stock for a ride. We'll see what happens in Playboy and that center fold. You already know. We'll see what happens.
Mitch, we're getting a couple comments about IONQ, IONQ in the chat, right? That's one we haven't talked about a little bit, but remember, I think we both called this out, right? When it was around $8, saying, hey, okay, the selling's over, right? Everyone sold this from $10 down to $8. Mm-hmm. We're going to start to see this thing come up. Mitch, what do we got on the chart there? I mean, this thing went from under $8 to $10.50 today.
Reversal. That's as clear as day there, and this is what we want to look for, especially when you get a stock that's so hyped. And you also heard a lot of people when this stock first got over that $10 period. Well, did you hear out there? A lot of even deeper known investors that were taking shots like, well, quantum computing, yeah, I'll take it for 10 years. I'll see what happens. So this is one that I definitely think is a long-term aspect. And you really need to use that to your advantage, because it's not a stock, I think, to jump in at the highs right now. It just doesn't make sense to me after the stock was down at 750. You know what I mean? Because you just missed out on a really great entry. Of course, if you got that entry, now this is when I tell you to, at least in my eyes, I sit back, relax, and try to enjoy the show now. But to go after it here is a little bit dangerous. Now, do we see the run? Yeah, we clearly see the run. The question is, can we get back towards the high that you have on the daily? At least this high that we pushed out from, which was 1295. We'll see what happens when it gets past 11 and 12. Can it get to 13? I'm pretty sure this is going to need some news. One thing to note, though, declining volume into that pop. So you could see a retrace, I think, back down towards 9, and then it'd be stuck in between here for a while. So I think this is one that you build a position. Don't overextend yourself too much early on. I do like the company in long term, but the real question is, when does that revenue come in, and when do they really start seeing the price match the technology?
Yeah, I agree with Mitch here. I think it's a little late to get into this one right now. I think we see some pressure and see it come back down under 10. But again, that's why it's important to time your entries, right? When we talked about this and it was under $8, you had a nice entry point there. And now if you are in it, you've got a nice gain there. But there is a quantum computing conference this week, Mitch, I think, that
What?
IonQ will be presenting at. So we could see it run a little bit more, but I'll be looking to get into this one if it falls back down. I don't want to chase it right now, but again, I love the long-term potential of quantum computing overall and IonQ, the company.
Yep, as you guys see, the IEEE Quantum Week. So if you want to know about that, you guys can definitely find that in Benzinga Pro. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at Javi here, Joby making a nice little move there. This one's I'm just wondering, like, why doesn't this one break down from here? It's interesting to me personally. Not that I'm a bullish or bear against this. I just don't see the money coming in, and I'm wondering how's it holding on. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of volume that's gone into this stock. 15 million, 19 million here, 11 million, 9 million. 9 million here. There's a lot of volume. There's a lot of money that's been put into this. What are you thinking, Chris?
I mean, all these electric vertical takeoff and landing companies, right? It's such a crowded market right now. And I think the big question, like you said, Mitch, is where's the money? Where's the revenue? So who gets to market first? What's the revenue look like? What do the partnerships look like? You've got Joby, you've got Archer, you've got others. But yeah, so I do not have any EVTOL companies in my portfolio. It's one of those where I'd love to own them all, but I also don't want to buy them all. But I think it's almost that basket approach, right? I think someone ends up winning, and I think some of them end up not getting much market share. So I think we're early, though, in the EVTOL space. So I think there's plenty of time to invest in these down the road.
Of course, looks like we're gonna need to start making some more gear. Some people requesting some gear, so definitely.
Yeah, that merch call out. I dropped that link in the chat for Justin and for anyone else. You see me wear the SPACs Attack shirt sometime. Mitch has his Benzinga polo on. I've got my Benzinga hoodie on today.
Gotta have some swag.
I love the swag. Full disclosure, I get some of the swag for free, right? But that's one of the perks of working at Benzinga. But it's comfortable stuff, man, and I love wearing it and supporting this great company. So, and we'd love if everyone out there, also supported us with the merch, and maybe we'll have to do a merch giveaway sometime, Mitch. With that being said,
all right, I got one moving that's interesting. I'm wondering what happens with it. I think it did complete the deal. Or at least got approval of the deal. That's what I think I heard. It was approval. It hasn't closed the deal, which was GNOG. And so what's been going on with this, Chris? I know that we got some recent kind of news. I think it was at a Canada that came out of. Was it out of Canada that it came out of? Am I hearing things?
With GNOG is getting acquired by DraftKings. And I have not heard an update on that. That's a good question, Mitch. I can't remember if DraftKings is buying this. I think they're using stock and cash. But that's interesting because DraftKings is trading around 47 right now. That online sports betting and gaming market, like we said, is pretty crowded. This is an interesting one, though. If DraftKings can get it to close, in the current quarter, maybe it can help them with that market share. Mitch, I saw an interesting thing, right? We talk about, I got to find my article now. We talk about sports betting, right? And how, it's all about customer acquisition. Get this, Mitch, right? So in Michigan, right here, my home state, one of the largest states to legalize sports betting. So this was the month of September. DraftKings was number one, 106.9 million in betting handle for September. That was the first company to hit the 9-digit mark in the state. Their market share was 30.2%. How much did DraftKings make or lose on that $106.9 million, Mitch?
How much?
They lost $4.7 million in Michigan in September because
Boom,
they spent
boom.
so much money on promotions, right? That's what we talk about, Mitch. You got to get them customers. So you spend a ton of money on promotions. Well, they spent more on promotions than they took in revenue. So that's
Don't
something
worry.
that Dave Portnoy from Barstool has been saying all along, right? Is that focus on profits? Well, some companies are focused on the revenue and not the profits. It's an interesting approach. So,
Well, I saw those numbers too. And one of the things that I saw in those numbers were what? Bet MGM, baby.
yeah, MGM's looking real strong. So they in Michigan, Bet MGM was were they 2 or 3? They were number 3, 23.1% market share, 81.8 million in betting handle. But the important thing, they had a profit of $2.7 million. So they're showing that you can be a top 3 player and also make money. Same with FanDuel. FanDuel was number 2 in Michigan, and they had a profit of $3.2 million. And Mitch, also on that list, Bet Rivers, right? RSI, Rush Street. They're a smaller player in market share, but they had a profit in the state, right? So it's not all about revenue for some of these companies. So it depends on how you size it up. But yeah, Bet MGM looking real strong in both lines, right? Revenue and profits. I wish we could have a SPAC. I wish we had a SPAC that could bring BetMGM public because I would love that.
Yeah, I would love it too. You know, I've been calling. That's Chris. When we first started talking platforms, what was the one that I told you that
Yeah,
that
it's
just
so
stood out?
easy to use, right? BetMGM, they got great partnerships. In Michigan, they're a partner with the Red Wings, with the Lions. I mean, not that you want to be a partner with the Lions right now, but that's a whole nother story. We won't talk about that game yesterday or the season. We'll just move on to next year, right?
You know, I've always related MGM as the brand that's sexy in Vegas, and with that being said, I think that plays a factor to it too. Like when you think about where you're staying, yeah, you might want to stay, you know, at Caesars. You might want to be in some higher end, you know, Paris. But the young guns and the partiers and the people that I think do a little bit heavier sports gambling than you think they should probably, they're probably coming out of MGM.
And
But
Mitch,
we'll see what happens.
we got our man Brent in the chat saying that MGM is the premier casino in Detroit. Yeah, so the MGM Grand Casino in Detroit was also number 1 for retail in Detroit for the month of September. So bet MGM, right? Number 1 for retail, number 3 for online sports betting, and number 2 for profits. That's a pretty good line there to have. So I think that follows your thought there, Mitch, that they are a sexy brand. They're a premier brand, but they're also doing a good job of getting and maintaining new customers.
Well, I didn't get a chance to visit the MGM, and that's probably on my fault. Should have gone and visited it. But I did check out Greektown, and what did I get? I got a whole bunch of people coming up to me trying to get me to bet, and that shows me a sign. If they have to go and search for me, I might not want to be betting on that stock there. But we'll see what happens at that. And I will say, hey, thank you, Caesars. I enjoyed my free jersey. Got to get those free stuff when you can get it. Let's
There's
keep
a lot
going,
of free
Chris.
money out there. Yeah. What else do we got moving? Let's look. How about Velodyne, Mitch? VLD up 6% today, or Velo 3D, excuse me, not Velodyne. Velo 3D, the 3D printer. Kathy has been loading the boat on this one. I don't know if you've seen it, Mitch. VLD. Velo 3D. So this is a 3D printing company. Remember, they have that partnership with SpaceX, right? And as we see more people turn into space stocks, VLD getting a nice run up here. Mitch, how important are the ARK Fund buys anymore, right? I still pay attention to them. I get those emails. I don't know if it's causing the movement here in VLD, but again, Kathy has loved this one for a while. Mitch, one of the things we talk about a lot, right, is if you can't buy SpaceX stock because it's privately held, right, what's the next best thing? maybe finding some
Partnerships,
companies that partner, right? So Velo
partners,
3D.
partners.
And Mitch, I heard an interesting rumor too that Velo 3D actually turned down an acquisition by SpaceX. I don't know if that's fully true, but I think the fact that that rumor is out there could be some good validation for Velo 3D.
Yeah, I'd keep a watch on Velo. I've actually had this one before and I sold it. And sold it for a really small loss. It was just so sideways for so long that I just got rid of it. But now that it's down to these levels, it does seem interesting to me. I have seen the story, and the story definitely makes sense. But when I think about 3D, I've seen a lot of struggling in 3D. When I personally thought 2020 would be a good year for 3D, with so many, let's say, assets, right? Like, let's say hard assets, like let's say steel, like the materials that are going up. I thought one thing that could happen was more companies turning towards 3D, right? I mean, it just made sense to me because I mean, if it costs the same and you can have less errors with 3D printing, it would make sense to move towards a 3D printer. So I think this is something that I'm going to be paying attention towards in the next 6 months going into the next year is how does 3D really get adopted? And do we start seeing some higher adoption rates? Because that's what we need to see all these 3D stocks come back, whether it be a space one like Velo, whether it be like the one that I'm stuck in and holding on tight, Desktop Metals, or you could look at some other ones. I mean, there's other 3D printing stocks also, and there's even ETFs in this area. So figure out what's best for you. I'm definitely looking at this as a long-term play. We'll see what happens in 3D space.
Definitely.
Has anyone seen a 3D printed house?
I saw it.
I've seen them.
That there was a city somewhere that was doing like a whole almost sub development of 3D houses. It's pretty interesting and crazy what these 3D printers can do, right?
What's is killing Genie, says Carl.
Yeah, I mean, what's Genie doing? Where's Genie at?
She's just trying to reload.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, Genie's still up pretty good, right? For the past, I mean, well, we're down now for the past month, but I mean, if you pull back, Genie is still doing okay. I think the fact that Katje is loading up on this and DraftKings validates those two as leaders in sports betting.
Yeah, it's okay. She can knock it down a little bit. I'll buy her dip. Let's keep going. Let's get into another one here. We can keep going. If you guys got one in the chat you guys want to mention, we can go ahead and touch. So now I'm going to call out some that I think could get a short squeeze. Why? Well, one, it could just be oversold and really pushed down. So I'm going to actually go towards my other charting here just to show us at least how pushed down a stock is, because I like using some different indicators, seeing what we got here. Of course, sometimes this is definitely a risky call because you're trying to call a bottom, right? You're literally trying to call a falling knife. So the one that I'm going to go after, and it's going to be Outlet here. Outlet is going to be the first one that I'm going to say for a potential short squeeze. Why? I mean, we went down towards this $3 level. We already had a huge drop. I'm looking for maybe potential of news coming out of it was the FDA, right? That they hit him.
Yep, the FDA that SOC not being approved.
I'm looking for something positive to come out of that. Because if something positive comes out of that, next thing you know, the stock is not valued down there, right? And so I'm looking to see if that can change here. I'm sure there's some shorts starting to pile in here, betting against the company. But, I mean, your downside look is looking like $4. The company goes bankrupt and you don't have any more. Or the stock comes back to 10 and you're looking for a $6 upside. So I'm almost to that point where I'm really getting interested in pulling the gun here. Of course, I would have to try to stay tight. I'm not going to hold that $4 down all the way down, but just trying to give you guys an outlook of how I'm looking at it and what could potentially happen. The daily chart on Outlet does go down on the RSI towards 13. And we don't get many times where this has hit down towards those levels before. The only time it's hit down towards these levels before was when it was dropping big here in July, and it looks like July month. And then we ended up popping back up. It wasn't much. It was like $2, but we'll see what happens on these levels as it keeps trying to hold on towards this kind of like 374, 74 level. Pulled back towards it today, back up towards 390s. Let's see if it can get towards 4, and I'll see what happens in this one.
Yeah, I might have to take a look at like Google Trends, right, to see how Outlet has done on there, and also on some of the baby sites, right, to see how the products are selling. One of the things I saw on Twitter, someone mentioned that Outlet products are some of the, the best selling and often added to baby registries, right? So when you have your first baby and have that baby shower, people are asking for Outlet products, right? Because it's got that strong brand name awareness. It's that good peace of mind for parents, right? So yeah, the FDA is a setback, but again, if it can overcome that, like Mitch said, I think the risk reward here is nice and OWLT, Mitch. I like this.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this one. One of the big parts of it was oversold, and I was thinking, hey, why not come out of this pocket? And we'll see what happens. Next one, I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up one that I don't know what's gonna happen to it, but definitely down near the same levels, near the same RSI, really getting hit. Had a huge gap down. Is Mile here, Metro Mile? What is going on in the insurance space? Are we gonna really get disruption in the insurance space, or is it going to continue being, the Geicos, the State Farm, the bigger boys? That's what the story is here, where you got to decipher to determine if you want to invest in, car insurance here. And I think, one thing that I've seen is that it's not only Mile, right, that's a player here. We could also look at OCA and kind of Kin Insurance, and you can look at different ones in that field. What are you thinking here, Chris?
Yeah, I mean the insurance market's so tough to gauge, right? It's one of
It's
those
tough.
markets where like I have never had huge exposure to insurance stocks in my portfolio, right? Because your car insurance ones are tough. It's a highly competitive market. Your house insurance ones are tough. You have the risk of major events. I like Kin Insurance, right? OCA with what they're doing with their platform, right? The using AI to offer, those pricing models based on artificial intelligence rather than having to send out a person, to complete that. Mile is an interesting one because it's got huge backers, right? Chamath was part of the pipe. Mark Cuban is an investor in the company, but really all those big investors haven't talked much about the company. It had earnings in August, and their earnings, Mitch, were actually 100% above consensus, right? Not that there was a ton of analysts covering it, so that consensus number may have just been, too low. But I don't think we get earnings from Mile again until December. So I don't know if we're going to get a big news cycle. I also think Metro Mile could be an acquisition target here, right? Let's face it. They went public, at $10 a share, and now trading under $4. I mean, I think someone could come in and offer a bid of what, like $6 a share, $7 a share. I think it'd be tough for some of these shareholders to turn that down, even though it is below that $10 price. So, something to think about there too in a competitive market where maybe buying customers through an acquisition could pay off down the road.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I would actually want this RSI to even get a little lower. You can see here we've gone towards 1187 before, and now we're actually trading near like 20s. Let's let this go back down towards that, like near that 10 or 11 RSI. That's what I'm trying to start seeing and calling the bottom. You see right here, look how it went down towards an RSI of 5. And you're getting popbacks on these super oversold at times, like 15 right here, and you do see that pop up right next to that. So let's let it get down to that RSI level, and you could get a squeeze. There's probably a lot of shorts stuck on this, and it's not moving. And whenever you see a stock just kind of stair stepping down, what happens is when you get that push up, it's usually an elevator move up versus this little move down that the shorts are trying to chase after. You can actually have a better return by catching that pop back up. Of course, yes, bottom fishing here, but what we're trying to point out is there's a lot of these short interest ones that are really being pushed down, that if you stop paying attention to them until they pop up on your radar, then it's a little too late to the party. but we'll see what happens here. Like always, determine your own risk. Do you have one, Chris, that you might want to call out? Maybe that's down and push down?
Well, I'm wondering how Catapult is doing.
Mm.
KPLT, the buy now, pay later one, right? That was one that had heavy short interest.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that one dip below 450 in the last month. We saw shares, I mean, really over the last couple months. I mean, we saw a huge move in this one, with the story of buy now, pay later, and then also the high short interest.
Mm-hmm.
But we're actually seeing it trade back down, right? We're at 487 today. So, it's important to look at entry points for some of these, right? I like the under 5 play right now, Mitch, that you're kind of mentioning with some of these. I essentially want to go back through the SPAC calendar, look at all the SPACs that have completed their mergers, which ones are trading under $5 now, right? Because essentially what the market is saying is that company is worth half the amount as it was when the deal was announced. And I just don't know if that's warranted for all these stocks. So that's what I'm looking at, is playing some of these under 5 ones now. And then also looking at the SPAC merger calendar going forward for some of these strong performers, like maybe a AGC. And also TDAC, lottery.com vote, Mitch, has now been announced for October 28th. That's something I've been looking forward to. That has a small float. So that's something I would call out and mention here, and also caution people. TDAC is going to be a low floater when it completes its merger. With that being said, I expect them to maybe do a capital raise down the road or look for additional pipe investors. But right now, TDAC is low float, lottery.com, sports.com merger.
All right, we'll have to see if any of these kind of get a lift. We're getting towards the end of our show here, so if you guys got one that you want to touch that we haven't gotten to, definitely throw it up in the chat. I did see lots mentioned a couple times, so we could take a look at that one, see how that one's trading. Let me pull up my charts again here and try to check out lots. The reason lots could probably trade up is, of course, I mean, we did hear about their inventory issues. There was some inventory issues, so that is always a concern. But where is it on the RSI? I'm seeing lows 13s, 14s, 21, really not getting down towards that level right now. It's at 32s, 33s. There's someone still kind of making some volume in this. And so what that shows to me is that it still hasn't bottomed out. There's someone trying to call the bottom right now, and it still hasn't gotten us that quick dip reversal. So that's what I would look for in this one. Right now we're at 360s. I would look for it to break 350, try to get to 3, and then look for a reversal. You can't probably get towards that reversal unless you actually get towards. I would look for 10 on the RSI. It's gone to 13 before, 9 before. So look for that kind of change to happen. Really kind of sideways now, not so angled on the downside. So look for a quick dip and then quick reversal back up. We'll see what happens on this one and what happens on these other ones. Definitely sorry about not touching VLN, Trench. I got no problem with your name, but I just got a problem with probably the ticker. Not the ticker probably we talk about here, VLN. I'm pretty sure that's a bigger stock. Do you know about this one, Chris?
Oh, VLN, yeah, that's it.
There you go, Trent.
SPAC'd, yeah.
You see, I still saw you there. I want to at least.
Yeah, Valens Semiconductor. It's I think it's a play on cars, right? So it's similar to Indi, INDI. This is interesting. I don't know this one as much as I know Indi because I actually used to own shares of Indi. But if you look at, I mean, Mitch, pull up the chart of INDI. I think that's a good comparison because that one for a while was trading under $10. And then it started getting hot. It went all the way up over $12, now trading at 11. So these semiconductor plays are interesting.
Slowly moving up.
So yeah, VLN, I'm going to have to keep on watch. Good call out there, Trenchtown stock in the chat. The semiconductor market, I mean, we all know the problems that are there. So any of the companies that can solve that, could be worth watching here.
Hey, we'll keep it irie. I'll definitely keep a watch on VLN, and I'll check it out. I'll see if I can learn a little bit more about the story. Like always, like Sue says, hit that like. We got over 100 people that joined us while we were live. So if you joined us while we were live, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up. And up next, we got some great talk about what? Guys, have you guys seen the Squid Games? Yes, I said the Squid Games. What? The Squid Games, guys. Don't miss it on the Power Hour. Up next, they're going to be talking all about that at Netflix earnings. Who knows? Find out all about that on the Power Hour, where the hype meets the stocks. You might get hot stock Luke. You for sure got AB. Maybe a little healthier Spencer. But give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time on the SPACs Attack. Anything else, Chris?
That's it. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for Power Hour.
Boom, baby.